So this is going to be part B of my remote learning assignment. So for this assignment, I'm going to be reflecting on the virtual concert. I picked this experience because I had some thoughts about it. I know everyone feels different about it, and I thought that, feedback with these assignments is really important so that going forward we know what works and what doesn't. I know that I definitely learned something from doing it because I kind of had a reaction in mind that this was going to get and a way that I thought I was going to feel about it, and I learned that I was definitely wrong about both of those. So I know that I learned that these things can surprise you the way how effective they are or how not effective they are. And that can kind of change your whole perspective on the whole process. Something I think could be done to extend this experience, I'm going to get into this later, but I think that one thing that we can do to kind of extend this experience is sort of branding this and sharing this kind of performance in a different way. And I'll get into that more in the assignment. I just didn't want to give it away too early on. But so we're talking about the virtual choir project. So there were things I liked, there were things I didn't like, but first part, talking about the process. The hardest thing about the whole process was really just, for me at least, was finding a space and a time where I could do it. And I know that depends on everyone's situation, but for me, there was no real optimal time or place. I just kind of had to go where I thought I could, which was my basement. And ultimately, I think I was one of the ones who kind of stood out because of that. In the future, I'll try to find a better place, but there really was just no optimal time. My parents were both working from home, which has sort of shifted just a little bit, but that was probably the hardest part. I think the best part was probably the end result, coming together and, just saying, we had a really good product. And, one thing that was also very hard for me was, doing it, because if I messed up at the end with the rehearsal track, the video that helped us follow along, you had to start from the beginning again. And what was very good was finally getting the video out there and seeing everyone's together, because it makes it look like you did it in one take, even though I definitely didn't, and I believe a lot of people didn't. So it really surprised me that, this caught the attention of the Boston Globe, and, this had such a positive reaction. Not that I didn't expect it to be positive, but I didn't like the process, and a lot of people said they didn't like the process during our Zoom classes, so I didn't expect, to be completely honest, I didn't expect the reaction and the reception of this to be as good as it was. But, watching the concert surprised me because of how good it sounded and how much people really liked it. And that gets into a whole new discussion. Is this a good thing that we should keep doing? Or is it not? And there's a part of me that says no, because this is tedious and it takes a lot of time to do. And if you mess up, you got to start from the beginning, and that's time consuming. But at the same time, it keeps us sharp. It makes us sure that, we have to be certain that we know what we're doing when we're singing these parts. And, just to kind of piggyback onto that, it's a good way to, keep us grounded and, make us remember, we're not perfect, we're going to make mistakes. But those, just like a concert, I made mistakes and I thought they were going to stick out like a sore thumb, but when you put those with everyone else, it's not like everyone's messing up at the same time. So, just as you wouldn't notice in real life, you don't notice virtually either. So I think it's a good way to keep going, but it's not perfect. And it's impossible to find a perfect method, but it doesn't have 100% effectiveness, but it works in the sense that the product was very good. and it would kind of be hard to find something better. So for now, I think it's a good way. It is a good way, but it's not a great way, and that's the best way I can say it. Obviously, it's very subjective because, what your definition of good is going to be different, depending on who you ask. But this is just something that, obviously, when you see the reaction being so good, it's hard not to say that it's a good way to do things. At the same time, the process takes a long time, and it's difficult to compile all these videos. But, as far as alternatives, things that are better, I don't have too many ideas, but one thing, I kind of alluded to this when I said ways we could expand this, and I said I didn't want to give it away in the beginning. I think it could be a really good idea. We do breakout rooms in our Zoom classes, and I think it'd be a really cool idea to kind of build off that. And just the same way we do these concerts, we could keep doing that, but we could also do virtual choirs in groups, and those could be assigned groups, maybe chosen groups, but they should be of different parts. And again, I think this feedback's really important because I hope we do something like this in the future. I don't really have that much future left at NITMA, but I think it's a great idea if we're not able to be together to record these things and get into groups of different parts and collaborate with people that we don't normally collaborate with, and some people we do. And as far as so that's an alternate way to kind of perform that. And as far as an alternate way of sharing, which is kind of what I was really talking about at the beginning that I didn't want to give away, I think social media is an important platform, especially now that it's something we are able to use, whether there's a pandemic going on or not, and we use it a lot more now that there is one. Sharing these on all the outlets we can is very important. That exposure on the Boston Globe was due to someone who saw it somewhere, and the more people who see it open up a lot of doors. We didn't think that anyone in the media was going to see it. So just imagine if they were on Twitter, Facebook, other social media outlets, and people on choir council who are, involved in media things can have a bigger involvement in that. But we can all stand to get involved and share it on bigger platforms. And I think that's going to wrap it up. It's my reflection on the choir project, the virtual choir, and overall, it's not the best system in the world, but we definitely got good results, so I would definitely do something like it again.